Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
From the studio at Tech Town, hello friends and welcome to your Daily Detroit for Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. I'm Jer Stays, and today is an acoustic set. That means it's you, me, and the news make three. We're going to run down 10 stories around Metro Detroit that I think are important or interesting or cool, maybe add a little commentary, and send you on your way. If this is something that you like or you want to see in the mix more often, let me know. dailydetroit@gmail.com, or if not, let me know about that too. All right, let's get started.
10.
New grocery stores in the city, let alone the region, do not happen all too often. But a new one is opening up in Detroit's North End tomorrow, May 1st. It's the city of Detroit's first Black-led, member-owned grocery store. This project by the Detroit People's Food Co-op has been 14 years in the making and will open on Woodward at Euclid, just north of greater downtown Detroit. The store will stock products and fresh produce from local farmers and then fill in the gaps with other quality brands. Technically, this is located in the Detroit Food Commons, and the second floor will serve as a hub for educational workshops and community events. If you're not familiar with a co-op, that's where the store is owned by its members, usually the people who shop there and got it started. This one has been aimed at creating Black food sovereignty. If you're not familiar with that term, food sovereignty is access to healthy, culturally appropriate food and having the power to shape and influence the entire food system that provides it. Detroit has a well-documented lack of top-notch grocery stores, and most chains have pulled out of the city. Anyone can shop there. You do not have to be a member. But membership gets you a vote on the direction of the organization, as well as promised future discounts. Anyone over 21 and living in Michigan can become a member and owner. You can learn more at DetroitPeoplesFoodCoop.com, and I plan on stopping by tomorrow.
9.
Here's one I'm personally excited about and glad they're staying in the city. El Central reports that Taqueria El Rey, a beloved Detroit institution known for some of the best tacos in the city, is set to rise from the ashes following a devastating fire. The taqueria, which has been serving the Southwest Detroit community for nearly 30 years, will reopen in the space formerly occupied by El Zocalo, another local Mexican restaurant that recently closed. That's on Berkley, just west of I-96, a short hop from Detroit's Corktown. Taqueria El Rey promises to maintain the quality of their beloved food, even as the dining experience changes, and I had their food truck over the weekend, and let me tell you, they are still nailing it. They're getting help from the organization of a former Daily Detroit guest, Laura Chavez, who heads up the Southwest Detroit Business Association. The new location is slated for a soft opening in May, with a grand opening to follow in the summer of 2024.
8.
Now, we've all heard this if you've driven around Metro Detroit, those really loud exhaust systems, not the ones from like the ratchet beater car, but one where the driver is trying to make a point or send a small message. In Michigan, a newly proposed law aims to combat noise pollution from intentionally modified vehicles. State Representative Natalie Price, a Democrat who represents the suburb of Berkley, has introduced a bill that would increase penalties for vehicles altered to produce excessive noise. She says this problem is particularly bad along Woodward Avenue, where cars with boosted exhaust systems often mimic the sound of gunshots. The law would not only increase fines for those who modify their vehicles, but also for the drivers of them. Repeat offenders could even have their vehicles impounded. However, there is some leniency for first-time offenders and those who can show compliance with the Motor Vehicle Act. House Bill 5696 has been referred to the Committee on Transportation. I'm interested to hear what you think. I hear a ton of these in my neighborhood, but also car culture is a big thing here in Southeast Michigan. dailydetroit@gmail.com. Let me know.
7.
Here's an episode from the Climate Crisis Files that's hitting home. A recent report on U.S. air quality reveals that Detroit is among the cities most polluted by particulate matter. Planet Detroit says that the American Lung Association's annual State of the Air report indicates climate change and wildfires are exacerbating air pollution levels, negating some of the progress made since the Clean Air Act of 1970. While the report only looked at data up until 2022, it's thought that the 2023 Canadian wildfires will likely intensify these findings next year. Particulate matter pollution in our area has been climbing for several years. And we're not alone. Detroit's air pollution is reflective of a national trend and highlights the harm that communities of color endure from air pollution. The report found that an additional 11.7 million people were living with unhealthy air compared to the previous year. Efforts are being made to address the concentration of heavy industry in communities of color, and the American Lung Association is advocating for a lower allowable ozone level. This one I want to dig into more, and if you want to as well, I will link to Planet Detroit in the show notes, and probably I'm going to want to do an episode around this, dig in more depth, talk to the author Brian Allnut and some other things. So love to hear what you think.
6.
All right, let's roll up to Pontiac for this next one and talk about being on wheels that are, well, a bit quieter than in other stories. The city of Pontiac is getting a new skate park, and their party for it is this weekend, May 3rd from 4 to 7 p.m. at Oakland Park. The finished installation spans 10,000 square feet. Making this happen took the work of the city of Pontiac, the Pontiac Skate Park Project, a group of local activists and skate enthusiasts, the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, the Oakland County Commission, and the Skate Park Project. Now, that used to be known as the Tony Hawk Foundation. It's been named the Roberto Duran Rodriguez Skate Park in memory of the avid skater who lived in that neighborhood and enthusiastically advocated for it. There will be food trucks, live entertainment, and a skateboard and helmet giveaway from the Skate Park Project. Check it out.
5.
U.S. News and World Report has ranked the top 10 public high schools in Michigan, and we're going to share the top ones in or near Metro Detroit. Before we get into the list, I do want to say that there's a lot of controversy about this, as the rankings in general favor schools in wealthier areas. Half of the top 10 Michigan schools are located in communities with a higher median income than the state's median income, and less than 15% of students at half the schools are considered economically disadvantaged. Critics say that the rankings fail to account for the resources available in wealthier communities and do not measure how schools foster progress in student learning. The report raises important questions about equity in the education system, as Michigan's method of funding public education is said to favor wealthier areas. Now, I will add to back that up that a few years ago, we did our own report at Daily Detroit tracking school districts, and we found that in Michigan, the grade level achievement for students on average matches almost completely with the household income of the residents of the district they serve. In short, if the parents have more resources, often, but not always, but very often, the kids do better in school. The top 10 school districts in the area, according to U.S. News and World Report, are number 7, Skyline High School in Ann Arbor, number 6, Rochester Adams High School in Rochester Hills, number 5, Northville High School, Northville Township, number 4, Troy High School in, Troy, number 3, Washtenaw International High School in Ypsilanti, number 2, the International Academy of Macomb in Clinton Township, and number 1, International Academy of Bloomfield Hills.
4.
Okay, how about a palate cleanser after that one? That was a little heavy. Dally in the Alley in Detroit's Midtown is back Saturday, September 7th, and music submissions are now open on their website, dallyinthealley.com. Local artists to the area only are encouraged, as this is an event focused on the neighborhood and more DIY. When I say local, like Southeast Michigan, etc., etc. This will be the 45th edition of Detroit's largest neighborhood festival. It shuts down a series of blocks in Detroit's Midtown to celebrate art, music, food, fun, and is organized by the North Cass Community Union.
3.
Okay, for number 3, I'm going to bring you a tasty story. The beloved Dutch Girl Donuts is a big step closer to opening under new ownership. A post on social media says to look for test batches and soft openings this week. The goal is regular hours by Mother's Day. And if you don't know about Dutch Girl Donuts, well, now you know. Located just south of 7 Mile on Woodward, until the recent temporary closure, they had been slinging donuts consistently since 1947. There's been a lot of work to get it going. In the time of the closure and before the sale, the plumbing in the building had been stripped, for instance. There's been a burglary. It's been a journey. Dutch Girl is now owned by Patty Lynch, who also owns some notably Detroity things, including the Schwitz, European-style spa and bathhouse in the North End. Other notable donut spots in the region I'd want to highlight, if you're hearing this and you cannot wait, is Donut Cutter up in Berkley. They also do yeast donuts. And if you want a killer cake donut, think about Yellow Light on East Jefferson in Detroit near the Grosse Pointe Park border.
2,
Okay, fellow building nerds, here is one for you. The annual conference of the Frank Lloyd Wright Conservancy is coming to Detroit this fall. The event on the week of September 25th will include panel discussions and tours of homes designed by the acclaimed architect. The conference will have the theme of Frank Lloyd Wright and the American City Today, exploring Wright's ideas about the relationship between cities and suburbs in American life. It's expected there will be about 200 attendees to the event at the Book Cadillac Hotel in downtown Detroit. Homes scheduled to be on the conference tour include the Palmer House in Ann Arbor, the Affleck House in Bloomfield Hills, the Dorothy G. Turkle House in Detroit's Palmer Woods, which I have been to. It's something else, man. And the Getch Winkler House in Okemos. That's up near Lansing. You can learn more at saveright.org. That's right, WRIGHT, saveright.org.
1,
And finally, we have more details on the grand opening of Michigan Central Station coming this June. One of Detroit's most iconic buildings, the billion-dollar restoration of the old train station and the book depository next door, is one watched the world over. The Detroit News reports that permits submitted to the city of Detroit reveal 10 days of events in June, with the media preview starting June 6th. The festivities will kick off with a free concert for 15,000 people. Over the 10 days, the station expects 60,000 people to tour the renovated structure. The event will have free but ticketed tours, food, a number of performances, and other activities. I think it's going to be a big deal. Although this is exciting, I do want to add that the full complement of shops, restaurants, the hotel that's planned, that's in the works, and that's all going to take a while. So there'll be the grand opening, but there's still going to be some work to do around this one. I'm sure that they're still looking for partners. But what a huge step forward for Detroit, and you know I will be there. And that seems like the right place to end it. Thanks so much for listening to Your Daily Detroit. If you liked this episode or found it valuable, tell somebody about it. Word of mouth is the best way to push Detroit's conversation forward. If you like the format or want to see more quick stories in the show, send me a note, dailydetroit@gmail.com, or vote in our Instagram story poll. That should be up for the next 24 hours or so. By the way, thanks to our Threads followers, we now have more than 3,500 of them, and that's more than 60% of the way to matching the following that we had over on X, formerly Twitter. But we started that account years ago, and Threads, well, that's just from December. Far faster growth than we ever saw over there, tons of engagement, met a lot of new friends. Daily Detroit on Threads. With that, I am Jer Stays. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll talk tomorrow. The report found that an additional 11.7 million people were living with unhealthy hair. Somebody get a stylist. Somebody call a stylist. Unhealthy hair all over. We got to deal with it.